Good morning, traders, and welcome to the daily call. Today, Thursday, the 19th of January. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay, so what's happened overnight? In the UK, we had the average earnings come in at 2.8%, better than the forecast, and the claimant count change was at minus 10.1, which is a big difference. So unemployment dropping in the UK, and essentially, although the news was relatively good, the GBP did lose ground against the US, but that's predominantly more of profit taking from the previous massive day that we had, and some of the announcements from Miss Yellen, which I will speak about in a moment. So that's what happened overnight in the UK. If we move along in the US, we did have, of course, CPI came in at 0.3, and Miss Yellen spoke only about a few hours ago, but basically what we need to take out from this was she said, with the US economy close to full employment and inflation headed towards the Federal Reserve's 2% goal, it makes sense for the US central bank to gradually lift interest rates. On top of that, she went further and she also said that waiting too long could risk a nasty surprise. So what happened as soon as this came out? Well, it's pretty obvious. If we have a look at a US yen chart over here, it basically produced a very strong candle reacting to the market. Now, from the chart that I'm showing you here, this is a US yen daily chart. Essentially, this level here is the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement from down here all the way to the top there. So it could be the support. A lot of this was profit taking, and the question now remains is, have we seen the bottom? It has produced for us a beautiful body engulfing, it's actually completely engulfing candle. So the question remains, what's going to happen that way? So I'll analyze this one closer in this afternoon's masterclass session. So that's the US. If we move along over to Canada, which we had a lot of news, essentially we had the Bank of Canada giving its monetary policy statement, and essentially the Canadian dollar was the worst performing currency overnight as the Bank of Canada announced that the forecasts were raised and inflation is expected to return to target in the coming months, which is actually good news. But it seemed that the only point of interest that investors really cared about was the easing policy, and it was said that a rate cut remains on the table. So what happened? Have a look at what happened. This is the US CAD daily chart. We produced a massive candle and reversal, and the Canadian dollar lost ground against most of the majors. Okay, so that's what's happened overnight. It is time for us to have a look at the chart of the day. Now, we've been having a really good run on these. Let's see if we can continue with that. Today's chart of the day is New Zealand US dollar. Now, if you have a look at the chart that I'm showing you, we can clearly see that the level that I have marked for us down the center here has acted resistive in the past. We can see we're shooting off in these directions, and when it's broken through, it has become like resistance. Okay, sorry, the first one was supportive, and it's been resistance again. So the question now remains is, we are here, what happens next? What happens next? So let me zoom in. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at this particular chart. As I zoom in on it, we can clearly see that we have produced a really nice inside candle setup over here, and it has already triggered. So if anybody is interested in this not only acts as a very key level, but it's also a double top right now as well. So if there's anybody that likes these particular patterns, we have a Kiwi dollar daily inside candle all set, ready to go. So make of it what you will. So what's happening tomorrow? Or what's happening in the coming session? All right, so first of all, we have in a couple of hours in Australia, we have the employment change and the unemployment rate at 11:30. So these will be key for the Aussie dollar. Later at 23:45, almost midnight, we have the euro announcing its bid rate. So will they move their rates or not? I don't think anybody's expecting that, but nevertheless, it's at 11:45. 45 minutes later, they have the press conference where they detail any statements and policies regarding that bid rate decision. So that's more key. Also at the same time, we have US building permits, manufacturing PMI and unemployment claims. So this will be a consolidator for what Ms. Yellen said. So this is key. This is just after midnight in my local time. And then at 3 a.m. we have oil inventories, which will affect US dollar and also the Canadian dollar. It's a heavily influenced commodity currency. So there you have it. These times are all in Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Times. And look, as always, please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. Follow me on Twitter at ChatFX for trade setups and breaking news. Most importantly, have a great trading day. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Daily Call. Bye for now.